So much, Senator. Secretary Haaland, a couple questions. You've been in office for over 3 years now. During that time, you've applauded President Biden's energy policies. His policies, I believe, are going to dramatically drive up our nation's demand for cobalt, for nickel, for zinc, for other critical minerals. Yesterday, you testified that your department has permitted, you said, 5 new critical mineral mines. Do you know what those mines are? And can you name them for me? I'm trying to ask about whether these were expansions of existing mines, modifications, or actually permitting of new mines. And if you need to visit with your staff, and they might have the answers to that, because you testified to that yesterday. I'm just trying to figure out what they were.
Thank you, Senator. I'll start, and I can pass it to the acting deputy secretary. So, yes, they were 5 mines producing critical minerals such as lithium, vanadium, and barium. And also, we recently took another step forward on the Rhyolite Ridge lithium mine in Nevada. Laura might be able to provide more details.
What are these new mines or extensions?
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you, Senator, for the question. The 5 are new permitted mines. I honestly only know the name of one. It's the vanadium mine in Nevada, so we can get you the list, and we'd be happy to.
And the reason I ask is, Madam Secretary, you just testified to Senator Hawley about you provide the vision. So what I'm concerned about is the experts are telling us that the world is going to need 400 new mines to meet the growing mineral demand for the minerals that you've just referred to. So instead of trying to solve the problem, it does seem to me that the department has actually been blocking access to American minerals. You've blocked access to minerals on federal lands and blocked access to minerals on state lands, some on native lands. So what, as you're providing this vision, what's your solution? And I'm just trying to see how to equate the math of the 5 with the 400 that are needed.
Thank you for that, Senator. And yes, of course, we understand that if we want to have a clean energy economy, that critical minerals are definitely a part of that in President's energy independence vision for our country. I will say, I apologize. The point of your question again, I am so sorry.
Well, you testified yesterday there were 5 new mines permitted at a time when we feel the world is saying we need 400 new mines to meet what the President is trying to do.
Thank you, yes. One of the things that I feel very proud of that we've done, the interagency task force on mining reform. As you know, our mining law is 150 years old. This is 2024. New technologies have come up. The interagency work group on mining reform has come out with a report. We feel that the recommendations in that report will help us to be more efficient and effective when it comes to permitting mines and moving the industry forward.
Yeah, because the sad reality, as you know, is that if we're willing to rely on China and the Congo and Indonesia for these critical minerals, they have horrible records in terms of environmental standards, in terms of labor standards, and I just find that unacceptable. We need to get more permitted. I have another area of mutual concern, I think, to both of us is the lack of housing for employees at our National Park Service, and you're going to hear that both sides of the aisle. Many of the housing units for Park Service employees don't meet modern standards. Many of the living conditions are unacceptable. I understand there may not be a single solution to the problem. I think you need to partner with the private sector at least as much as you're partnering and relying on Congress. Would you describe, in terms of the vision you have and your efforts to address the lack of suitable housing for park staff?
Thank you so much for the question and for caring about where our career staff actually live. So, of course, we're working on many new options. The budget proposes over $100 million from different funding sources to improve employee housing in parks. That includes $17 million to replace obsolete and deteriorated housing, or housing to add housing capacity where affordable housing for purchase or rent is limited, $2 million to continue to support private sector leasing for seasonal housing, more than $60 million in 2025 LRF projects to rehabilitate or replace NPS housing, in various national parks. We were also successful at working with partners. We were very grateful for a $40 million anonymous donation to Yellowstone National Park that will support housing construction. As you know, in some of these gateway communities, it's very expensive. It's where the folks who buy vacation homes can live. And so we're grateful that we're putting all these sources together and appreciate you caring about it.
Thank you. My final question is that there's a wildfire crisis, and you're hearing this from both sides of the aisle. Your department has more than 50 million acres of forest that must be actively managed to prevent them from going up in smoke. This can't happen without partnering with the forest product sector. The Wildland Fire Mitigation and Management Commission has called on the department to support the forest products sector. As sawmills, though, are closing across the West, and the threat of catastrophic wildfires continues to increase. So shutting down forest management and restoration activities, I think, is dangerous, not a viable option if we're going to get control of the wildfire crisis affecting the West. Secretary Haaland, what happens to the federal forests when they lose a local sawmill? And would you agree that the department needs to try to retain its existing private sector partners in the timber industry?
Senator, thank you for the question, and I recognize that this is an issue. It's also an issue for tribes. We visited a tribal community in Wisconsin who has a sawmill and actively works to manage their forests. We appreciate the reports that were developed in a unified fashion. I will take your suggestions forward to the department, and we recognize that this is all important. Fuels management is also an issue for these wildland fires, and our budget reflects the commitment to that as well.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you again for being here, joining us this morning. Members will have to the close of business tomorrow to submit additional questions for the record. The committee stands adjourned.